If you can sew a straight line, you can finish this today. Welcome to All My Ways, Andrea. We are in the sewing room again, and today we have another quick and helpful win. Have you ever wanted to sew something useful but didn't know where to begin? Let me show you one of the easiest, most satisfying beginner projects you can make, a pillowcase. It is simple, practical, and confidence building. A true quick win. You only need a few basic things: thread, a measuring tape, your fabric, and your sewing machine. That's it. No complicated notions or specialty equipment. And when you finish, you won't just have learned, you would have made something real that matters. A pillowcase is one of the best first sewing projects because there are no complicated shapes, no tricky fitting, and no special tools required. You are working with straight seams, forgiving fabric, and a result you can use right away. While we are on the topic of seams, let's clarify this. You can have 3 seams in your pillowcase, 2 side seams and a bottom seam, or you can have 2 with 1 side seam and a bottom seam. It is a choice that will have no effect on your pillowcase. To finish the raw edges, you can use a zigzag seam or overlock if you have one. Or you can do like I did, finish with a French seam to expand the life of the pillowcase. The French seam is a self-enclosed seam that is stitched twice, once from the right side and once from the wrong side. And here's how you do it. With the wrong sides of the fabric together, stitch 3/8 inches from the edge. Trim the seam allowance to 1/8 inch. Press the seam open. Fold right sides together with the stitch line exactly on the edge of the fold and press again. Stitch on the seam line, which is now about 1/4 inch from the fold. Press the seam to one side. You're done. Choose a fabric with a firm hand. Cotton and cotton blends are ideal for beginners. Firm knits can also work well once you feel a bit more confident. Later on, when your skills grow, you can experiment with softer or specialty fabrics like faux fur or more fluid textiles. But start with something stable and friendly. Beginner success starts with beginner-friendly fabric. A pillowcase also gives you room to be creative. You can add applique, monogram, attach purchase letters, or make your own. Even a simple border strip can transform the look completely. This is where you can make your pillow personal. From fabric that is 45 inches wide or wider, you can make 2 pillowcases using about 1 1/4 yards. That makes this project economical too, especially if you are working from fabric you already have at home. Before you sew, prepare your fabric. For cottons and knits, pre-wash and dry them the way you plan to wash the finished pillowcase. This prevents shrinkage later and keeps your finished work looking the way you want it after laundering. It's a small step that makes a big difference. To make a pillowcase that fits properly, measure your pillow first. Standard pillows are about 20 by 28 inches. Queen pillows about 20 by 30 inches. And king pillows about 20 by 36. Let's guess your pillow is 20 inches wide. You need to cut your fabric 40 inches wide plus a 5/8 inch seam allowance or 1/2 inch or whatever makes sense for you or the fabric you are using to make the pillowcase. To finish your raw edges, a French seam works, as does a zigzag or an overlock stitch. Notice something helpful. The width usually stays the same, only the length changes. That means you can often size up by simply adding a border or extension panel. Simple adjustment, big flexibility. Now, for the other finishing touches, the hem. How do you finish the raw edge of a pillowcase? Remember I said the number of seams doesn't have any effect on your pillowcase? Well, it does not. But depending on the way you finish your pillowcase, it does. When you do 2 seams, you finish the opening edge with an enclosed machine hem in 1 shot. You can do it with 2 also, but generally that's how it is. It looks neat on the outside and the inside. However, You will need 3 seams if you want to make an envelope fold on the inside of your pillowcase. What does an envelope fold look like? Look at the image on the screen, and between the 2 arrows, there's an overlap or tuck that keeps the pillow from sliding out or being seen. It can also be used on the outside at the back part of your pillow. Here's how you do it. Your pillowcase must have 2 seams at the sides, with finished edges on the short sides and right sides facing each other. Fold both layers of fabric downward and stitch on both sides. 3.5 to 4 inches is fine. You can pin it to make sure it doesn't move. That's it. Now, let's say your pillowcase seams are finished and you wanted a border, but you have limited fabric. Well, whatever the width of your border, you press the edge, which will be the hem. Stitch the seam the same width as your pillowcase. So 40 inches, 40 inches. Put the right side of the border against the wrong side of the pillowcase. Stitch it, turn it toward the right side. Press and top stitch the border on the right side. Press again. Of course, if you have enough fabric, you'll double it, double the border, and attach it to the pillowcase. Now I know it can present as cumbersome, but if the border is a quick decision, remember, preparing every fabric you are using is a crucial step. It saves you from unripping a border that's drawn from shrinkage or the possibility of a too tight pillowcase. If you've been waiting to begin sewing, let this be your starting point. Not perfection, just progress. One straight seam at a time. And when you finish, you'll have something you made with your hands. That's more than a project. It's a beginning. If this is your first project and you have questions about what fabric you would choose, or if you should try a simple or personalized pillowcase, please ask them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. As always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.